Most divorced dads are not lazy. They're just waiting to feel ready, waiting maybe for court to finish, waiting for money to stabilize, waiting for their kids to be older, waiting for the pain to fade. But here's some hard truth: the life that you're waiting for isn't coming, it has to be built. Waiting, it does feel responsible. I can understand that. But over time, it becomes disobedience to your own potential. And that is what we're going to unpack today is this passivity and things that you have held back on for probably decades. And I say decades because that's what I did. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of what other people think of you. All of those things were these weights that I had. And you could look at me on the outside and be like, man, this guy is wickedly confident. He's crushing it in his career at those times. However, all three of those things that I just said were weighing me into passivity, things that were actually deep inside me that I knew I needed to do. Maybe it was leadership. Maybe it was helping others. Maybe it was being able to generate the revenue I needed to help others. Maybe it was just having a really solid track record with my children, not just winging it. Oh, I'll do this, or I feel like this, or I haven't seen them in a while, so let's do this. I'm going to tackle that today. We're going to tackle some questions at the end. We're going to tackle some challenges that I believe will send you into this week with real concrete structure of what to do. This isn't theory. This is real hard evidence that your life can change. Most dads, they want change more than they want to change. And here's the thing. Here's the paradox in that is that life is constantly changing. There's nothing that is ever the same. There's no 2 days the same. There's nothing the same. And so many times we're wanting things to be the same. However, it's constantly moving. So look, if this podcast in any way has helped you, it's a nudge, it's a help, drop a sub, leave a review. Those of you who have a comment, question, drop a comment in Spotify. I answer them all. I read them all. If you're not following us on Divorced Dads of America, jump in on that. I read all the comments. I read all the questions in the DMs. It's me. I don't use bots. I don't use the AI stuff. Your stories matter to me. And I think if there's something that separates me from anybody else, it's exactly that. I've been doing this a long time. I've been working with dads for a long time. I've been working with high-level leaders for 20 years. So this matters to me. This isn't something that I just pulled out of my back pocket. I believe it's something that has been ingrained in me for decades. So I'm here for you. And I want to dig into this today. I'm going to talk about the psychology of waiting, right? What's the brain doing when we're waiting? So decision avoidance increases stress over time. This is just behavioral psychology. The more you avoid, the procrastination, waiting for the right time. Some of you that are perfectionists, and I know there's a lot of you guys out there, and it is an incredible gift. I never ever want you to see something that you deal with as just a negative, because everything has two sides. And if you're not seeing the positive side in it, then you're missing the gift that you actually have. And so procrastination is, for many of you, it's a great sign. Oh, wow. That if you have a procrastination item for yourself, even right now, something you need to do, you're delaying, you're avoiding, that is the sign. It's actually a sign for you. Men under chronic uncertainty, they delay action to reduce emotional risk. That's just your brain trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you in a place where it's not another thing where you feel like you have to get through. It's just something to understand. And in divorce recovery studies, passive coping predicts worse long-term outcomes. I'll say it again. Passive coping predicts worse long-term outcomes. Now, what does that coping look like for you? What does that avoidance look like for you? Some of it's addiction. Some it's numbing, scrolling, avoiding, distracting, all of those things. It's this passivity that delays your purpose, right? It actually delays pleasure. You think it's pleasurable. It's delaying the real pleasure, the real fulfillment of your life. So waiting isn't neutral. It compounds cost. It is very, very costly. You don't pause life without interest. You do pay for it. And I'll tell you from firsthand experience, my delay cost me an incredible amount. The things I delayed in, delaying getting help, delaying investing in myself, delaying in getting, knowledgeable mentors, delayed in setting up schedules and systems for myself and my children. Oh God, it's costly. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And when you sit there in a lonely house, it makes it even louder. When you don't have the kids, it's louder. When you're trying to figure out what's going on next, it's louder and it hurts and it's painful. But here's why it feels safe. Okay. This is, again, more of the brain side to it. Your brain seeks certainty, right? It's not wanting to, it's such a weird thing because everything in life is changing, but our brain wants certainty. So waiting reduces short-term threat. That's why you wait. You feel like it's a threat, and so you wait and you don't want to make the wrong move because you've made some moves before. I get that. But long-term uncertainty, it actually causes more pressure on the brain, which means you can't think clearly, you can't think creatively, you can't find solutions to problems because you're not using your full amount of your brain. They say the stress and the anxiety and the worry, the fear can really shrink down your brain capabilities into where you're using 40 or 50% of your brain. So it's a tough spot to be in. And that's essentially what's going on. So waiting feels calm, but it trains your nervous system to tolerate stagnation. One of the things that I listened to recently, a mentor of mine was talking about some of his morning rituals, morning protocols, and he was talking about doing cold plunges. And I don't do cold plunges. I know a lot of people that do, but I'll tell you the reason why he did it. And I think the reason why is more important than what I hear most people talk about with cold plunges. The reason why he does cold plunges in the morning, he gets up, he goes out, he gets his shorts on and everything, and he doesn't hesitate. He goes in and boom, he gets in. And the reason why he does that is because he wants to train himself to move, to take action, to not delay. When it's time to go, it's time to go. Because the more times you do that, the more your brain and your body will start to give you the stories of why you don't need to go right now. And look, I do this plenty of times for myself, especially around workouts. I'll pause, I'll wait, and more I'm training myself, training my brain, training my thoughts to say, hey, when it's time to go, now we go. Because the waiting turns into days, weeks, months, years. There's a guy recently that came back to me. It had been 2 years. Him and I had been talking. We worked briefly together. I was just seeing how he was doing, and he told me that he just had done a 40-day fast. And I said, "Well, what's the reason?" Because when we were working together, there were some things in business that he just wouldn't do, kept avoiding, kept making excuses. And I said, "Well, did you do those things that we had talked about?" He said, "No." And I said, "So after the fast, what happened?" Because I think he was hoping that doing the fast was going to like open up a window of clarity for him. And I guess it did because he said back to me, he said, I have to do the things that you told me to do. And he goes, that's been the hardest thing is I don't want to do them. And that was the clarity that he got. But again, it was 2 years later that he's now just trying to do the same thing that he was waiting on for the right time for when he felt it was okay. And it was sucking years of his life. Uh, there's a verse in Ecclesiastes that says, whoever watches the wind will not plant. And the picture of that is waiting for the right time to do everything. I'm not saying that you don't have wisdom or you don't have counsel, you don't think about it, but there is a big thing to people that are always waiting for the right time. And I find that the difference between the high level leaders that I work with and the guys that are just good trying to get better is that the guys that are high level that are making it, they make the decision and they figure it out. They find a way to make it work. Because leaders act without perfect conditions and farmers plant before certainty. So waiting for clarity prevents your harvest. You want those things in your life, whether it's cash flow, business, emotional, relational stability. It's when you're uncomfortable. So you got to remember that God never promised clarity before obedience. When you look at the Israelites as they were leaving Egypt and going into Canaan, they didn't have the entire plan. They were the plan was like, hey, we're going to get there, but we don't know how. And the don't know how part is where most people get stuck because they think that it's got to be perfectly planned out and you got to have all the things right. And what I've realized in working with all the clients that I've worked with, hundreds, is that once you open a door, there's another door. And I don't know where that door is going to lead to, and you don't know either, but you got to keep opening doors. So let's talk about waiting versus patience for a second, because I have a lot of guys that, you're in this holding pattern and there's things that you're waiting for and there's things you got to be patient about. But patience is active, patience is structured, and patience is disciplined. Let me tell you what waiting is. The difference. Waiting is passive, waiting is unstructured, and waiting is avoidant. And so patience builds quietly while waiting decays silently. And this is really where many of you are going to feel exposed, or you're going to feel, where am I landing? Or you're going to try to tell yourself a story that you're not waiting, that you're being patient. And you got to ask yourself, are you structured? Are you disciplined in your patience? Do you know exactly where you're going and what you want for your patience? And do you have somebody that is accountable with you in your patience? And so one of the ways and one of the frameworks that I like to use in systems is rational emotional behavioral therapy. And many dads, they say this, and then we'll kind of break it down. They'll say, I can't move forward until this happens. And emotions follow beliefs. So waiting is reinforced by the belief that action requires permission. So the new belief, instead of that, I can't move forward until it happens, the new belief says, I act in alignment with who I'm becoming, not what's resolved. I keep moving forward into the direction I'm going. I keep taking ground. I keep making progress. That is the forward progress of who you're becoming, so that you don't get pulled back into what you were. The old is gone, the new has come. So there's a lot of psychology around it. Structure restores confidence faster than insight. We talk about rising to levels of your vision, falling to level of your systems. And again, it's like, dude, what systems do you actually have? And is that aligned to where you want, what you really want? And unfortunately, most dads, when they do say what they want, it's very vague and the bar is very low. And the reason why is because they're in a lot of pain. They don't know. They don't want to get their hopes up. They don't want to shoot for something that's bigger and get let down. And that's just not the way to live. That's not what you were created to be. That's not even what you would tell your kids. Oh, well, just go for, just being good enough. Just go for average. And if that's where you're at and that's the guy you want to be, that's great. I just don't know. I don't think this is the place for you. I don't think this is going to be something that is going to inspire you. I don't think this is going to probably just piss you off. And that's okay, because this isn't for everybody. There's a million dads and there's a lot more that are divorced. So I know it's not for everybody. But I am saying that if you do want to choose that, if you do want to choose agency of your life, that's the type of thinking you're going to have consistently. It looks like this in our FAST system. And those of you that aren't in the school group, we have a FAST system. It's what I call it. It starts with focus and faith. And if we're breaking this down through our FAST system lens, it looks like this. What are you delaying that would immediately stabilize your life? What's the focus? What are you delaying that could stabilize your life? I just had a guy in our group recently that we're talking about cash flow in his business. And there was all sorts of ideas that he had, and he's a perfectionist. And so he always had to be the right time and had to get all these things together. And I said, look, man, you have everything you need right now to do this. What's really stopping you? And it was, again, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of what other people thought of him. And once he crossed that line, literally instantly, he got other bids, other things going on, other opportunities, other things happening. Boom, just like that. What was he avoiding? What was he really focusing on? He wasn't focusing on growth. He was focusing on the failure. Awareness is A, and accountability. Here's a question. Where have you labeled avoidance as wisdom? Man, I can remember another conversation that we had in our school group on Monday nights, and the guy came in. He started talking about his story, and every time he told his story, he told a reason why it wasn't happening. But then when I asked him about the reason, he just said, "Well, it's really hard, and this is what I have to go through." And he had already put up the walls that he wasn't going to move. He wasn't going to try anything different. And you know what? Life is about change. Life is about transformation. But his awareness was just that. He was not open to hearing anything about how or what he needed to do to change. He only wanted to tell the story that was fitting the narrative of why he didn't get what he wanted and why he was at where he was at and why there wasn't money and why, the kid relationship was all of that. And you can have that awareness, but you got to have something to go next with that. What are you accountable to with the awareness? And the S brings us into strategy. What can you build this week without permission? What are you building? Another guy in our group told me recently what he's building because he now has a new strategy, because he has a new focus, he has a new awareness, which changes his strategy. And now he's already building out a new business and a new vertical for his business. He's excited. He knows it's the right thing to do. He knows it's hard. He knows it's something he's been avoiding, but he's digging into it and he's making progress with it. And T is transformation. And here's what it looks like. Identity shifts when action replaces hesitation. You have to move in the direction of where you want to go. And if you don't have what transformation looks like for you, and if it's not exciting, and if you don't have reasons why you want to do it, if it's just because you want to have a new vacation because you need a new vacation, you're not going to get there. You have to have whys that are stacked so high that you're living for the why. You're not living even for the result. You're saying, I'm doing this because this is the man I am. This is the leader that I am. These are the kind of children that I'm raising. This is the kind of mindset that I have. This is who I am. That's your transformation. And so, I'd say it like this. Waiting is like standing on a runway with a fueled plane, checking the weather forever. Meanwhile, your kids are watching you never take off. Just think about that. You're standing on the runway with a fueled plane, checking the weather forever. You can go whenever you want. You're waiting for this perfect moment. I can tell you this even now as I was departing a city recently, and it was pouring, man. It was freaking pouring. And I looked outside. I was like, man, I don't even know if we're going to get out of here. Sure enough, plane goes back, taxis, and we roll out. I was shocked. But you know what? We got out and I got to the destination, and thank God they did, because I needed to get there. So that's what it looks like. And here's a tool that I call the no more waiting filter. Okay. 3 questions, simple. You can take them down today. You can use them. They'll change your life. Is this delay? Here's one about delay. Is this delay protecting me or costing me? Number 2, what would a stable man do this week? Number 3, what structure replaces this hesitation? What would actually happen if you structured it? What would actually happen if you got the result you wanted? You became the man you wanted to become. What would that look like for you? What would it feel like? Because those things there are going to be what put you in that direction. And here's a challenge for you, okay? I like challenges because they set you on a course, and it's something that you can get accountable to, whether it's me, whether it's in our school group, whether it's, with a friend, a group, whatever it might be, man. I don't care what you do. Just get accountable daily, and your life is going to change. So here's the anti-waiting rule. 7 days. I challenge you 7 days to do this. Number 1, choose one delayed action. Number 2, schedule it. And number 3, execute without emotion. Don't wait for the right time. Don't get everything's got to be perfect. Just go and do it, man. Get out there and go and do it. Make the phone call. Go get the stuff you need to get done. Knock on doors if you have to. Schedule the stuff with your children. Start using some of the systems we have in our group to, get one-on-one dates. Ask those questions with your kids. Build unbreakable bonds. Set them up to be better than you because you're the only one in their life that wants them better than you. So you need to make sure that you are at a place where you are better than that old you. You're better than those old problems. You're better than those old mindsets. And every day it is just you versus you. It's nobody else. It's nobody else's Facebook profile. It's nobody else's Instagram, man. This is your life. It's your story. And you get to write it. Nobody else gets to. So I challenge you in that. Take those questions, take that challenge. And I believe this week, when you do those things, I want to know, drop them in the comments here, drop them in our school community. If you're not following us on Divorced Dads of America on Instagram, drop them in there. I don't care. I just want to see you guys take action and get results and do the stuff you know you need to do because this has been a long delay in your life. And I know that because it was a long delay in my life. And once I started to do it, everything started to change and started to shift. And I saw things differently. I love you guys. I pray for you every single day. I love you. I'll see you. God bless you. We'll be on the next one.